What's going on, my fellow Guardians? Your dude Sly here, and welcome back to part 2 of my Destiny 2 Kingsfall raid guide. So in my last few vids, we showed how to slay the War Priest and how to open the secret chest in Golgoroth Cellar, aka the Maze. But in this video, however, we're going to be diving into the main man himself, Golgoroth, the most famous ogre in Destiny. Most encounters have changed up quite a bit since the D1 version of Kingsfall, but Golgoroth, well, he pretty much stayed the same for the most part. There are a few small changes, but overall, mechanics-wise, it is damn close to Destiny 1. So, in this video, we're going to be going over everything that you need to know about the Golgoroth fight, which subclasses are best, which mods to use, and of course, the best weapons. After that, we'll then go over the map and all the things that you should know about. We'll then talk about the main mechanics and finally set it all into motion and go over the various steps to get you past Golgoroth and how to make it as easy as possible. As always, thank you guys so much for watching slynation. Now, let's get this bad boy on the road. Starting with subclasses, weapons, and mods. This fight has a much more rhythmic flow to it than the War Priest. There will be plenty of enemies during damage, and you need to try to control them as much as possible. On top of that, you need to boost your damage as much as possible, because even though you have a lot of opportunities to do damage to Golgi, he can soak up quite a bit of it. So once again, Warlock Wells and Titan Bubbles are going to be your friends here. Warlock Wells more than most, but Void Titans have a huge part to play. You want to try and use Warlock Wells as much as possible here, so this time, instead of rocking Luna factions, I would highly recommend using the exotic chest piece Phoenix Protocol, which gives you back super energy for every kill while using your super. So while you're doing damage, a flood of enemies will start coming your way, mostly annoying Thrall at first, but once you start getting deeper into Golgi's health, the larger enemies start to spawn in, including Knights and Taken Cabal with shields. So the key here is to lay down lots of grenades at your feet while doing damage, and having Titans lay down bubbles in between damage pools. This way you will walk through the bubble, getting weapons of light on your way to the next damage pool, and enemies will be blinded by the Titan's exotic Saint 14 helmet. But the big thing here is that Void Titans have grenades that pass on explosions to other enemies, causing them to explode in a chain reaction. This is absolutely huge for doing damage, as it can clear a lot of adds in short order. So be sure to set your grenades to Vortex and Solar, along with fragments that make them last longer. Then throw them on the outskirts of your damage pool or right by your feet. The next best thing after that is to either be a Void Warlock using Nova Bomb or an Arc Warlock using Tickle Fingers to clear a large amount of adds quickly. Titans, in my opinion, it's best to stay Void, but Solar Sunspots will also work well if you have enough Void Titans. If you're playing as a Hunter, either rock Tether for ad control and a boss debuff, or you can go Golden Gun with Nighthawk for a little bit of extra damage. However, Arc 3.0's new super, where you do that kind of staff in the ground, that thing works great for ad control as well. So, completely up to you, but they will all work here. Moving on to mods, I would once again recommend using High Energy Fire, along with Stacks on Stacks or Supercharged, and you should pair that with getting Stacks of Light through Elemental Wells and Orbs of Light. This way, when you walk into a Titan Bubble or a Warlock Well for damage, you will pick up an orb and immediately have a stack of light for extra boss damage. This is an easy mod setup to use, and it works extremely well, and it pretty much works for any encounter, raids, dungeons, strikes, whatever activity you like to play. As for weapons, you do have to clear quite a few adds at the beginning of each damage round, so you will need a good primary to do just that. Once again, I always use a hand cannon, but an SMG would work or a scout rifle. However, two of you are going to have to do an extra job, and you will need a fast-firing weapon, such as an auto rifle or a high rate of fire SMG. We'll get to why here next. Alright, ladies and gents, and finally the big one, moving on to your main damage weapon, the Heavy. Legendary linear fusions can unfortunately just not be beat in terms of damage and ease of use combined into one. Basically, you're going to want to use the same weapons you used at the War Priest. In all actuality, you can use the same weapon from War Priest all the way up to Oryx. That linear fusion will work for every single encounter. Legendary linear fusions like Storm Chaser with Firing Line, Clown Cartridge, Triple Tap, 4th time's a charm, or Rapid Hit are going to be your best bet. Next thing after that is to find one with Frenzy, and if then you don't find one with Frenzy, Vorpal will be your final option. Now, if you do not have a good legendary linear fusion, then Sleeper actually works just fine. And last but not least, if you don't have either of those, your last best bet will be Whisper of the Worm as your heavy, paired with a secondary sniper rifle with Firing Line or Vorpal along with Arbalest. Also be sure that you're using boss specs on your heavies. Now, I have a sneaking suspicion Golgoroth might be a good candidate for double slug shotguns and Parasite, but I have as of yet to test it. However, I do know that linear fusions get the job done in short order, so for right now and for this video, I recommend using them. Alright y'all, so with subclasses and weapons out of the way, next let's learn the map. At the start of the encounter, you're going to split up into 2 teams of 3. 3 go left, 3 go right. Now notice on the ceiling, in the direct center of the map, you're going to see a clear ball of liquid. Shoot that to start the encounter, and then Golgoroth will climb out of his pool of goo. But those clear sacks will also spawn in later, as well in 5 different locations. So in order to do damage to Golgoroth, you're going to have to shoot these sacks down in the order they appear, and then step into the liquid pool they leave behind to do damage. If you do not step into these pools that the sacks leave behind, then your damage will show up as immune. You also do not have a lot of room as well. The damage pool they leave behind is a lot smaller than most of the other raids damage, auras or pools, plates, whatever. So Golgoroth must be facing you at all times, something we'll go over how to do here in a little bit. The idea here is to pop a bubble on the ceiling, rush into the pool as a team, drop a Warlock well, and do damage by shooting his stomach. Once the pool is gone, look up for the next one. You want to pop it and then drop a Titan bubble along the way to the next damage pool. Then, as a team, get into that pool, drop the next Warlock well, do damage, and simply repeat that process 5 times the entire time. However, there's going to be a catch here. One random player will be chosen in each of these damage pools. This player will get what is known as unstable light. It's kind of like the Atheon encounter where one person gets singled out and has to leave the group from doing damage. Except this time, instead of a bubble you get caught in, you explode, killing everyone around you. It has a very large blast radius, so you have to move far out of the way. Everyone has to be on the lookout for this debuff, as it will wipe your entire team. I've always liked this mechanic because, a lot of times people say, oh, it wasn't me, I didn't have it. Well, if you explode, you kill everyone around you, but it does not damage the person who had it. So you're the only one left standing. And you can't really say it wasn't me when you're the last one alive or the only one alive. So I've always liked this because it kind of shows you whose fault it was, I guess. Okay, so moving on here, the next thing to notice about the map, the pillar of glyphs behind Golgoroth. Now back in Destiny 1, you only had so many deaths before it would wipe the team. Once the pillar filled up, it would wipe you, but this time that is not the case. Now the pillar counts unused damage pools. If you fail to drop a pool, or if you skip a pool, it will count against you. If you somehow miss 6 damage pools, you will slowly go blind, and the darkness will then kill you and your entire team. So you're probably asking yourself, how could one possibly miss 6 pools, you ask? Well, that has to do with positioning the ogre and the next job, taking the gaze of Golgoroth. So Golgoroth has 2 damage sites. He has his back and his stomach. The team is going to be shooting his stomach. It's the weak spot where you land your critical hits. However, 2 players have to perform extra duties called taking the gaze. They have to shoot Golgoroth's back, and in doing so, Golgi becomes locked onto that player. Wherever the player runs to, Golgoroth will follow and look towards. They have to basically position the ogre and turn him just enough so that the team will be able to consistently do damage while staying in their liquid pool. However, the entire time the player has the gaze, you have to keep a lookout on the countdown while shooting down a stream of Axion darts. While gaze holder number 1 is holding the gaze and counting down, gaze holder number 2 will be in the pools doing damage for about half of the countdown. They then have to listen to the countdown, and at around 5 or 6 seconds, they then have to dip out, run behind Golgoroth, and shoot him in the back in order for him to turn his attention from player number 1 and then back to you, gaze holder number 2. You have to hit his back with a lot of damage. It takes a full burst of Storm Chaser or 1, possibly 2 shots from a linear fusion to capture his gaze. Light or medium impact snipers will not do the trick here, nor will any primary weapon. It has to be a hard-hitting heavy weapon. Now I found what is probably a bugged weapon that does massive damage to Golgoroth's back on my day 1 contest mode run, so keep a lookout for that video as it's pretty awesome. But once gaze holder number 2 shoots his back, you then have to run to a spot where the ogre will be facing your team and the new damage pool. Once you're there, you have to stand your ground and do not move a muscle. This is where a high firing SMG or auto rifle comes in handy. You will need to shoot the stream of Axion darts while counting down the timer. Now you can survive 2 Axion darts hitting you. After that, you're dead. So stand your ground and do not move. If you don't move, they should come to you in a straight line after the very first burst. If you try to strafe or you move to the wrong spot and have to adjust, you're going to get them swirling all around you and it will kill you. It's hard to recover from that. So make sure you try to stay still. So while you're doing the countdown and holding the gaze, the other player, gaze holder number 1, who had it before you, is now in the pool doing damage, waiting on your signal to leave the pool and then capture it again. The two of you need to consistently swap back and forth until all 5 damage pools have been dropped. Now, if you fail to pass it off or if you die, then the gaze is lost and any of the remaining damage pools will be counted as missed. So if you were only able to use, say, the first 2 pools of damage and then you die with the gaze, the 3 missed pools will be added to the column in the back. And if that happens again, it's a team wipe. So that's how it's possible to miss 6 damage pools. This fight gets pretty easy after repetition as it is kind of rhythmic. The 2 players who take turns holding Golgoroth's eye are the most important, and you have to be very quick here. If you die or miss taking the gaze, then it will result in a wipe, or at least a huge penalty for the team. So the 2 of you definitely have to be in sync. Alright y'all, and finally let's talk about the very start of this encounter. Now once you shoot the first bubble to spawn in Golgi, you're going to split up, like I said earlier, into 2 teams of 3, 3 left, 3 right. Ads will pour out from the middle and back of the map. It's basically kind of a giant U shape. You can either stay in the front in cover and shoot ads at a distance, or you can come in and spawn kill them at the doors, which I personally found easiest. Once you kill quite a few rounds of ads, one mini boss witch, she will appear in the back left or back right door. Now I'm not 100% sure of her significance, but I do think that she is similar to the knights in the war priest fight. I think killing her kind of starts the damage timer cycle. I could be wrong, as it's just kind of a rumor I heard that I think is true, but nonetheless, just leave that witch for last and get her health low. Once she's low and finishable, send everyone to the front getting ready to do damage except gaze holder number 1. Once everyone is up front and in position, gaze holder number 1 uses a finisher on the witch with Aeon's exotic gauntlets to drop heavy for the rest of the team, and then proceed to the bridge to shoot Golgoroth's back. At the same time, you're going to have your team shoot the first damage bubble to drop it to the ground. Now a trick we used to use in Destiny 1 was for a Titan to jump below deck and pop a bubble on the ground, which everyone would then hide in. This would get Golgoroth's attention, allowing the first gaze holder to easily shoot its back from the bridges in the middle of the room. Once that happens, everyone comes out of the Ward of Dawn, shoots the damage bubble, and then jumps into the pool while the gaze holder is coming around the map, turning the ogre towards the team. Everyone shoots the stomach while the gaze holder counts down from 13 seconds. At around 5 or 6 seconds, gaze holder number 2, which was me in this video, leaves the damage group and proceeds to the bridge on the right hand side. At around 1 or 2 seconds in the countdown, you shoot Golgoroth's back, which passes his gaze onto you. As you can see, you now have to run to a position where your team will be able to see his stomach. You kind of pretty much have to put your team in between you and the ogre. You hold your position, shoot down the stream of Axion darts while counting down. Meanwhile, gaze holder number 1 is now down in the damage pool, doing as much damage as possible until they hear my countdown of 6 seconds. At 6 seconds, they will then leave and jump onto the left side middle bridge, where they will shoot the ogres back at the 1 or 2 count. They will then get into position, shoot down the Axion streams while I get a chance to do damage, and then the cycle pretty much repeats itself until all of the damage bubbles are used up. Grenades are absolutely key for this damage phase, as more and more ads will pile up and block your way or even block your shots as the damage goes on. So everyone needs to throw grenades at the floor as much as possible, even the gaze holders. Also, don't forget that while everyone is doing damage, one random player will get that unstable light buff and explode. Or sorry, a debuff, status effect, whatever you want to call it. You must leave the group or you will kill everyone and it's pretty much a wipe. Your screen will turn dark green and you will hear this distinct sound. So it's pretty hard to miss once you know what to look for. But yeah, that's about it, my friends. Once you do damage from all 5 pools, everyone hops out of the pit, splits back up into 2 teams of 3, getting ready for the next wave of ads. Then pretty much the cycle continues. You have a lot of chances to do damage here, but you will run out of heavy very quickly. So pace yourself and be sure to use Aeons whenever possible, as you will definitely need it. But that's it from me, my friends. I hope that this guide was not only easy to follow, but also instructive. Sometimes when you hop into an LFG group and you're new to a raid, they put you into the just do ad clear and shoot the boss when you can kind of rule. And I've always hated that, as you learn absolutely nothing. So hopefully this guide will show you the fight in its entirety, and you will now know what to do no matter the role that you're put in. Once you do enough damage and you drop good old Golgi, you are off to the Wall of Dicks and the next secret chest, along with the next encounter, the Daughters of Oryx, also known as the Sisters encounter. If you need help with the secret chest or any of the Kingsfall bosses, check out my channel Slynation here on YouTube, along with my Kingsfall raid guide playlist. I'll have everything you need to clear this raid from start to finish. I will even be putting up how to easily complete the various challenges in the raid as well once I get to them, so definitely keep a lookout for those. But as for now, I'm out of here, y'all. Thank you all so much for watching and for supporting my channel, Slynation. Subscribe for plenty more Destiny 2 videos, including Kingsfall, Season of the Plunder, and Lightfall guides. Spank the thumbs up or down if you liked, loved, or hated this video, and if you wish to get in touch, business or otherwise, feel free to hit me up anytime. SlyNationGaming67@gmail.com, or check me out over on the socials at Sly_Nation on Twitter, Slynation Gaming on good old Facebook. Take care, y'all, and thank you all so much for watching. Keep those eyes open for more D2 videos and guides coming out here soon. But until then, this is your dude Sly, and I'll see you all next time.